Ta-dum! That was pretty good.
Yeah,
we're gonna get better
good.
at that. That is the onomatopoeia noise that we're getting there.
Exactly. Yeah, no, the it's kind of the introduction to a new territory is what it seems to be.
Yeah,
often.
I feel like it helps bring. So I can hear the noise. Like I hear the noise because I started with the anime and I watched a lot of the anime. Probably like 200 plus episodes. So I watched a ton of it, and I do remember sometimes when they introduce like a new location, you get the da-doom. Kind of similar to the Netflix noise.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, that's a really good like
point of reference.
Yeah, point of reference.
There we go.
Right on.
I got you guys. That's
and
what
now,
we do here.
It's the point where we start our podcast, the Grand Line Tourist.
Right, because we are the Grand Line Tourist podcast.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm the one who's actually the tourist, and
right.
What are you to me, Eric?
I guess I am. I have to be the Grand Line tour guide.
I think so.
Well, at least for this point, you technically right now you're the East Blue tourist, and I'm the East Blue tour guide because that's where we are currently in the story. Of
yeah, no, we know the name Grand Line. We've heard it in Chapter 1, but we don't really know too much about it yet.
Right, exactly. And just to kind of talk a little bit more about ourselves, we are the Grand Line Tourist podcast, which we will be reading each chapter of One Piece starting from the beginning, right? And this is chapter 2. This is episode 2, chapter 2. We'll be talking about chapter 2 today of One Piece, the manga, written by Ichiro Oda, the one and only, the one man. He's so good. I'm such a big fan. I've actually heard that he was kind of rough. He was very blunt as a young lad because he started working at Shonen Jump at 17. But I heard he was very blunt. He used to say a lot of stuff to his seniors that kind of just came out. But he's actually very easygoing. Later on, you'll see in the later chapters he has a section, especially because you're reading through the volumes.
Yeah.
If you read the volumes of One Piece, he has a section in the volumes called SPS, the SPS corner, which is just like different fans get to mail in different questions. He even sometimes puts up pictures that fans have made. For English fans, for Viz Media, when they do the volumes over here, they'll let like American audience or Western audiences send in pictures and they'll post those as opposed to Japanese pictures.
Oh, very cool.
Super cute. Yeah.
Keeping the cultures separate. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Is that super cute, Eric? Is that what you were saying?
Oh no, I'm one of those.
You're in a trap now. No.
But yeah, super cute. SPS corners are super fun. They end up being canon kind of fun because different audience members are asked like a small thing they always ask on like birthdays. When's Luffy's birthday? When's these people's birthday? And he would say it.
Do you know Luffy's birthday?
I do not know.
Oh man, we gotta we definitely need to record an episode of Luffy's birthday.
There's a website with all of the birthdays, all the crewmates' birthdays are up, which is super fun. And then essentially later on, people start pitching birthdays to him for different characters.
Wow.
And he's just like, yes. Super cool. But today, again, we're talking about chapter 2.
Chapter 2, which is titled, They Call Him Straw Hat Luffy.
Oh, I wonder why.
Oh, yeah, I wonder.
Is it because, does it have something to do with what he's wearing?
Could be. Take a look at what Luffy tends to be wearing if you're unsure on the chapter title.
Right. Anytime you ever see Luffy, period, anywhere, he's probably wearing this hat.
Indeed.
And it's made of straw.
So, I'm going to go ahead and get us started by just going over really quick what happens in chapter 2. We start. Luffy. Ready to go into a whirlpool. And as far as we know, our character might be donezo, completely over with. But that is not to be the case, because we are later introduced to Iron Mace Alvida and her crew. She basically has a large weapon, an iron mace, that she's not afraid
to swing
at
anybody.
Her own crew. It's pretty tragic.
She is cartoonishly large, cartoonishly like ugly, I would say, right? But lo and behold, one of her exceptions, like one of her points, is like being perceived as pretty, but through fear. Yeah. Obviously through fear.
It doesn't seem like she has a good relationship with her crew. In particular, there is a crewmate named Kobe.
Yep. The cabin boy.
Cabin boy.
As we're introduced to him. Right? Yep.
And he proceeds to find Luffy, who pops out of a barrel.
Yes.
And then go ahead.
Which is how he saved himself from the whirlpool.
Yeah,
right?
no. Luffy really has this pirating thing completely figured out. But him and Kobe proceed to deal with Iron Mace Alvida.
And both talk about their dreams.
They both talk about their dreams. Luffy wants to be a pirate. Kobe wants to be a member of the Navy. And so that all comes to a confrontation with Alvida. And that's pretty much where we end off the chapter.
Yeah, cool. My first discussion point, which I am naming Living in Foil, because this segment is about Kobe. Because at this point, at least, I think Kobe's kind of a foil to Luffy. Two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah. If you're not familiar with the term foil, it's kind of like... actually, is the reason it's named foil because it's kind of like looking in a mirror, something that's reflective?
Yeah, but not quite the same.
Yeah, and reflective, but not quite the same.
Oh,
so.
Interesting.
No, that sounds good. I don't know if that's that's what we're using it to mean. I guess if you look in foil, it's a little crinkly. It's not quite the same. I don't know why the word foil, but that's what they tend to use it for. And so, Kobe, wants a lot of things, right? He wants to be a member of the Navy. He doesn't have that deep confidence that Luffy seems to have, and so that's kind of why they're different, right? Where Luffy is confident,
openly pursuing his dream, right? Openly stating his dream, and not afraid to do it. Whereas Kobe is, what is he?
He's unopenly stating his dream, in little side comments to himself, all curled up,
right.
And acknowledging deep down that he knows he's never going to accomplish any of that, which is this might make such a good foil.
Yeah, because he is a good foil. I mean, this boy built himself a boat. For 2 years, he spent building a dingy because he walked on a pirate boat when he wanted to go fishing on accident and didn't have enough courage to be like, wait, I'm not a pirate. Sorry, let me just get off. No! He spent 2 years building a boat and then freely giving it to Luffy and being like, well, I don't need it anymore because I don't have the guts to leave. Oh, Kobe.
I know. It's quite tragic. In the story, you'd rather be Luffy than the foil to Luffy.
Right. And I think that, at least to Kobe's, to his credit, he is very intelligent. He's very smart. He's a very good navigator. He has a very good... perception of the sea and all that sort of stuff, right? Like he can track himself and navigate through the ocean water, which Alvida even points out in the beginning.
Yeah,
where Alvida is like, I like to kick you around, and I would kill you if you weren't so good at the sea and stuff like that. Which is like, cool, okay, at least that's one thing he's good at.
Yeah, no, I mean he's not like somebody that has nothing going for him, but in the department of self-respect, he's not doing so great.
Yeah, and do you like him? Do you have an opinion about Kobe overall?
I think he comes across not the most unlikable of characters.
No.
He's kind of got that geeky look to him. He's got these glasses. It's actually interesting. I don't even know. Am I particularly attracted to even Luffy as a character? I think visually, Luffy kind of presents an image of laid backness.
Yeah.
He is actually not very stereotypical piratey looking, to be honest. So I didn't even know that's a lot to sort out as well, but. For Kobe, I think I kind of see more of a stereotype. Luffy's not so easily pinned down as a stereotype. He's a little bit more stranger, more aloof. Kobe, you kind of see, that's the geeky guy with good intentions,
Right.
So hard not to, like him, but also you don't really love him.
Yeah, and I also think that he kind of presents the other side of. I think when especially when reading shonen or experiencing a shonen story, I think I am getting I could see the kids growing up that were like that. Even myself, I see a lot of myself more in line with Kobe than I am with Luffy, and I think that's kind of why Kobe exists this early in the story. It's kind of to show, because remember, it's geared towards young boys, young men growing up, and I think for Kobe, in his credit, he gains a lot of confidence in the span of chapter 2, and then in the span of this arc, this first Romance Dawn arc, which is chapters 1 through 7.
Yeah.
He gains a lot, and I think it's cool to show kids, especially young boys and young girls, just children overall, that you can start at a Kobe, and you can aspire to be like Luffy because Kobe's doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Which I think is cool. And when I think of it in that capacity, I'm like, oh, I do like him. I like him a lot of what he symbolizes now. A lot of the low self-esteem and trying to overcome that.
Yeah, and it's impressive how quickly Kobe pivots.
Yeah.
It's not like the idea of Kobe wanting to, speak out and do something for himself is going to take us another 5 chapters. It happens in this chapter, he's going to speak out. So it's not, something that's built up for a long period of time, but that gives you a lot of hope, right? If I just, kind of gives you that, if I just be a little bit more like Luffy, later today, I can be a better person. It's not a year from now.
Right, it can happen now.
Yes.
All right, my next section is called Damn. OP has some jokes.
OP has some jokes.
Which is One Piece. I just put.
Oh, you know what? This is a problem where a little bit of knowledge about anime got me in trouble. OP often stands for, I think, opening, right?
Which is also the opening thematic.
The opening thematic thing. And I was like, there's no music in this era. Like, how are we going to talk about the OP?
Yeah, no, sorry. I just kind of made it smaller, but
No, I like
damn,
it.
One Piece has jokes.
I like it.
This is just a little point where I get to kind of... I'm a big comedy guy. I love comedy, and I think this is just it's a little section that I get to kind of nerd out about the comedy of Oda, because I think Oda's very funny and childish in his humor. He has a lot of potty humor, I think. Later on in the SPS corners, like I mentioned earlier, when people ask him questions, they end up asking a lot of toilet humor-related questions. I think the first one I'm going to point out, and if you have any that pop in your mind, definitely let me know. I think page 1 in this first chapter is so funny, which is Luffy going, wow, I'm in the sea. Too bad it all has to end so quickly. Because the whirlpool.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. Because it's just like you were saying, he's laid back, he's hanging out, he's laughing. And then it's just a small little thing, and then we stretch panel by panel, and he's like, oh, I'm in a whirlpool. He's like, man, if I knew how to swim, I'd be okay right now. And then later on, you think he's gonna say, "Man, why have the devil fruit powers? I wouldn't matter."
Yeah.
But then he goes instead, "No, it doesn't matter. In a whirlpool, I'd still die."
No, that was. This is another. It's interesting because this is another example of. I mentioned in our last episode of reading too fast and missing some stuff. I missed some of these jokes. That was a really solid one that I definitely missed the first time that I got on my second analysis.
Mm-hmm. And in the industry, we would call this a cold open.
Oh, yeah, because he's in the middle of something.
Because it just already happened, and then we get the title. Then we get the cover page. Then the
Yeah.
title, right? This is the one pager before we hit the thing, like, bam, there's the rest of the... Now the episode starts, right? Which is really funny. Which I love now because the heat pays off by how does Luffy live through this? In a barrel.
Yeah.
Apparently. That, by destiny, falls onto the hands of Kobe. The next one is... I love this, is... there's a lot of comedy in Luffy's bluntness, which is when Kobe explains like why he doesn't need the Dingy, he doesn't have the courage to leave. He's been a cabin boy for 2 years because he accidentally walked on the pirate's boat.
To me, that almost alone is almost like a perfect joke.
Yes.
Like, why are you on the pirate ship? Well, I walked on one day and then...
I didn't have the courage to leave. Right? And then good old Luffy smiling is like, wow, Kobe... You're really dumb. Essentially, in better terms, like, you're really dumb.
Yeah.
You're really dumb and, like, kind of a weakling. Which I think is so funny.
No, it's interesting. I think it's one of those ones that when you read it, I think you got to take it, like, with Luffy as his character. It's funny in that perspective. It can actually come up a bit jarring. You're like, whoa, like, Luffy just says it as the way it is, right?
Yeah, but then I think that's what you'll find that that's Luffy. Luffy doesn't have extremely deep thoughts about things. It's just he says what's in front of him. That's Luffy, right?
That's a good way to put it. He doesn't have extremely deep thoughts about things.
Yes. He just kind of looks at it. He's like, wow, you're kind of stupid.
Luffy could not run this podcast.
Right. He could. It'd just be very fast.
It would be very simple.
Okay. My other two... No. I only have one more joke that I really like, which is tough-looking Biddy.
Ah,
right. Which I just have to point because Biddy is such a weird word.
It is strange.
Yeah, and it's just a moment where Alvida shows up because Kobe has stated that he is going to be. This is right when Kobe has stated out loud that I'm going to be in Navy. I'm going to be in the Navy. I'm going to be a lieutenant or whatever, and I'm going to capture Iron Base Alvida. She shows up. She's like, "What are you going to do?" And she's trying to force Kobe, as we learn, that he's been taught through probably physical abuse, to answer when she asks, "Who is the fairest of all the sea?" Kobe's supposed to say her.
Yeah.
Kobe does. But then Luffy says, "Hey, Kobe, who is this tough-looking Biddy?" And if you don't know what a Biddy is, I defined it for you also.
Very good.
Give me a moment to read off my notes. A Biddy is a woman, especially an elderly one, regarded as annoying or interfering. Yeah.
That's harsh.
I just think there's something really funny about calling somebody a biddy. I don't think it has to be a woman. I could call a man a biddy.
Yeah.
And I think that is really funny. Yeah. Those are my comedy spotlights of this chapter.
No, it's good. It's kind of ramping up, I'd say. I definitely had more laugh out loud moments than I did in the previous chapter.
Yeah, usually shonen jumps are also supposed to have like some humor. It can't all just be dark and brooding. Which makes sense now that I think about all the other shonen animes that I've read and consumed. Yeah. Okay. I want to kind of talk about the next moment, and this kind of like we'll talk about the bigger section of this.
Yeah.
Which is Ichiro Oda's manga mechanics.
Okay.
How some of the mechanics that he employs in his chapters when he designs panels and art and dialogue and all that fun stuff. What he does. My first one I want to talk about, cover art. the cover art of this one is good. It's actually it's goofy. It's usually they're like really cute pictures of the crew kind of interacting with animals of this world, right? And they're usually doing something really cute and fun. But later on, Oda has a lot of fun with the cover arts, and when it starts, there's something he does with the cover arts that's really cool that I cannot wait to see how you react when we get to it.
Oh, okay.
But
so,
as the cover arts
pay attention to it,
yes.
Because like they're easy to just kind of glance over really fast because it's like, it's like non sequitur. It doesn't relate to what's going to happen in the page after at all. Like, Luffy with some weird striped animals. And you're like,
which I think is fun, but they're usually kind of cute. He puts Oda has a lot of, like you were talking about slowing down and looking at the panels, really absorbing art. I think cover arts are like a moment definitely to kind of appreciate Oda's creativity because he always has so much going on in those scenes. If it's like, sometimes there's an example of him painting, of Luffy painting like a Jolly Rogers on a bear, but like the little bird on top has like a little Jolly Roger drawn on him too, you know, like a small little details and jokes that you can find that Oda does in his art period. But cover arts, I believe, are the moments where he kind of have really a lot of fun because they don't have to apply to a story. They could be, like you said, non sequitur, just kind of exist. Yeah. My other mechanic is the blackout back pages.
Gotcha.
Which usually equals flashbacks. Yeah. Which I think we saw here. Does he talk about?
The one that I know that comes up that's actually I think kind of funny as well is we have the moment where Luffy comes out of a barrel, right?
Yeah.
Saying something along the lines of, something interesting that like
that was a great nap.
It was a great nap, right? And so later, Alvida mentions
destroys a cabin.
Well, yeah, and she's really upset, right? Because she doesn't want to see that her crewmates are napping, right?
Yes.
And so there's a moment where another pirate, then she thinks back and has like a little dark side moment next to his face where it shows Luffy coming out of the barrel mentioning the nap, right?
Yes.
And so that's how you kind of know that occurred in the past, you know?
Yeah.
And the pirate, he's got this wonderful like strange look on his face of like, oh my gosh,
it wasn't us.
I know why she's accusing me and it's wrong. and we know that it's kind of like, I don't know if that's the introduction to it, but it's one of the first elements of it of kind of, some things that can happen in the past are actually just going to be kind of like in the panel, a little bit darker, but grayed out.
Yeah, it's definitely, so dark background is not a white background with the panels to sit on top of, right?
Yeah.
For the page. It's actually, it was introduced in chapter 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just didn't talk about it in the last episode, but it's introduced in chapter 1 because Luffy has a flashback, or there's a flashback showing why the mountain bandits are beating up on Luffy.
Yes, it does,
right?
yeah. Okay.
So if you didn't get a chance, if you missed it, definitely take a look at that because that's a full page of blackout. And he does a really cool thing where you can see like maybe the very first panel of the page. Because remember, mangas, which we probably should have talked about last episode, you're supposed to read it left to right.
Oh,
right?
yes.
You're not supposed to start like a Western book. You're supposed to read it.
What kind of tour guide do we got here? If you've at home have been reading from right to left, please write in, and we'll Eric will cry for every single one of those letters he gets.
Yes, and I will name you and I will apologize to you. But also, that's really funny. You've been really confused. You start off with Luffy leaving and then becoming a child.
It's Benjamin Button scenario.
Yes, a Benjamin Button scenario, and not even a very good one. But yeah, so he does really cool things where like maybe the first panel of the page is in a flashback, but then he'll splash it. Right, it'll start off with the white page, and then later on it'll go to dark.
Yeah. Super cool. I think the example I brought up is one of the weird ones, which is almost just like in a single panel by itself.
And then like it's a little bit colored.
Yeah.
Which is super cool, which I think like not once you notice that, you kind of see the artistry of that, which is fun because maybe it's one of those small techniques that you don't know as a viewer that's affecting you until it's already happened.
No, and it's more fun to start noticing those things because then when you can see, Oda kind of play off of it as he goes. The other moment that was in a similar fashion but a little bit different is they mention I call him the demonic pirate hunter, Roronoa Zolo.
Zoro, yeah.
And he kind of has like a blackout frame of his face, a silhouetted face, and it's actually in this case it's not quite a flashback. It's more like a hinting of what this person's gonna look like.
You are jumping a little forward.
Oh, is that mechanically?
That's one of my mechanics.
I didn't know.
Which is foreshadowing.
Ah, foreshadowing. Okay.
Yeah, Oda is kind of notoriously known for how well he foreshadows certain things in One Piece. So I think that's something for you especially you new readers. It's even fun for like big fans like me. See how early a story beat is foreshadowed. In this one, for sure, the one you just brought up is Zoro, right? Is Zolo, which is, Zolo in the manga. In the anime, they'll translate it to Zoro because the R and the L noise make kind of the same.
Gotcha.
The same sound in Japanese. But the foreshadowing was another one.
No, and I thought this was a particularly cool foreshadowing because it's a silhouetted foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's something you can really kind of only do, I think, so effectively in like a manga or a comic book visual format. Yeah. It takes. You can only do it so subtly. If this was a film and like you tried to show like the face of a character that's going to show up in the future, like it's going to look weird.
Yeah.
Like, why are they putting that face in the front of the room? There's ways to do it, of course, in cinema, but like in here, it felt very natural.
Yeah, and also because week by week, you get this little foreshadow. Next week, maybe we'll see him.
Yeah.
Right. Or in Oda's case, maybe it'll be years.
Whoa! Some big foreshadows.
Yeah. Okay. And then my other mechanics, I have a few more. Another one is character intros.
Okay.
So whenever Oda kind of introduces a new character, he gives them kind of like a little box. It'll be like a character box. So Iron Mace Alvida had one.
Yes.
But I wanted to point out to you and to our listeners, look at the difference between Alvida's box and how much page real estate she takes up when introduced to her, and Kobe.
Ah, okay.
Because Kobe only has a panel, maybe less than a quarter of a panel, and that's where we see Kobe Cabin Boy. Alvida, Iron Mace Alvida gets almost like half a page of real estate for her character introduction and character box, which you can argue is that it could be a statement on how much her presence. Another idea about perception. Her perception of her strength, maybe how big of a factor she is for this specific arc. I think it's kind of a cool thing to see, and he does it a lot. We'll start seeing it a lot more.
Yeah, no, it's really fun too because the characters almost stand in front of their own panels that are presenting them. It's very neat.
Yeah, it's really cool, and you'll always notice he does a very cool thing that usually we see in a lot of children's media or media geared towards children, which is like giving them a fun name. Iron Mace Alvida. She could just have been Alvida, but no, she's Iron Mace Alvida, and she carries an Iron Mace. Yeah, I get it. I love it. Yeah, and a lot of characters have stuff like that, right? So Straw Hat Luffy.
Now, I happen to be Green Shirt Jacob.
Yes, and I am.
Backwards Hat Eric.
Backwards Hat Eric. There we go. Yeah, still not the One Piece hat.
I know.
Still not the One Piece hat. Okay. Internal dialogue bubbles. Right. In this one, the dialogue bubbles usually have like little lines as opposed to like a complete circle. It's like little lines popping through. This is actually just a big anime manga trope, which is a lot of internal dialogues for multiple characters. Sometimes in a chapter or an episode, we have multiple internal dialogues to themselves. Right. A lot of just random talks. That's in a lot of stuff. So
it's funny. I think I almost sometimes when I read those, I imagine them as if the characters saying it like really quietly to themselves, looking away from camera, but maybe just actually all in their head.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I'll have to pay attention to see if I actually, when I'm reading, if I'm actually imagining them saying it, because I might be imagining it slightly off.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but that's cool. I know that's pretty jarring. I had a friend who started watching Attack on Titan for the first time ever, and she had the thing she kept pointing out was like, they always talk to themselves so much. And I was like, yeah, that's an anime thing. I can't tell you. I can't, I used to hate it. No, that's a lie. I just always understood it.
Yeah, no, I wonder if it results in, psychopathy later on in life. I'm just kidding. No. If you grow up watching media where everyone talks to themselves in their head, you might try it out yourself.
I think it's true. I guess that's fair.
I'm not sure how fair it is. I have a pretty strong internal monologue a lot of the time. I don't know if it's from... I didn't read much manga growing up, so who knows?
All right, my next part. I'm gonna go ahead and get to the announcements of moves. For example, Gum Gum Pistol, Gum Gum Rocket, all these things that are gonna pop up. Right. This is just a big anime shonen manga and anime trope. Announce your moves, right? Thunderbolt, like in Pokemon. Right. They always announce the moves.
Pikachu.
Right, and then he does his scream. Right. Dragon Ball had Kamehameha. Right, solar flare and the spirit bomb, right? The big stuff. Like they always name their moves, which is super funny. And it's almost like I wrote down. It's like manifesting the energy you want to put into the world, man. It's how anime characters do.
Hippie podcast.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like manifesting the world. You want cheer? Just cheer. Just say cheer. Yeah. So those are some Oda mechanics, manga mechanics. Yeah.
I also want to call them Oda tropes.
Oda tropes. Ooh.
If some are super specific, then we call them Oda tropes.
Yeah. Okay. My shonen spotlight of this week is chasing your dream and your determination, and specifically how Kobe's pursuing it versus Luffy. And we talked about it earlier when we were talking about Luffy, but it's really cool, I think, again, just to bring up the fact that knowing that this is a media kind of geared towards kids, and like even though we're adults consuming this media, thinking about the message that he's telling young kids is like, it's okay to either start off as a Luffy and a Kobe, but if you have a dream, like pursue it, right, and like fight for it. Which I think Luffy is kind of teaching Kobe how to do, or definitely inspiring Kobe to do.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Do you have any thoughts about that, specifically about that specific theme that I think they kind of?
No, I think it's one of those themes that you can never really say enough. Even I think I hope it's not one of those things that I'll reach some age and I'll be like,
I'm done.
I'm tired of that theme. I'm done with it. Like I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. I don't need to stop reaching. But I think in general, I'm always just inspired to hear that theme told in a different way. And so I think the One Piece way of telling it is pretty unique to the way Oda has shown it in this visual medium. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think that was a lot of fun, and that's definitely the big thing that I saw. At least in comparison to the Shonen Spotlight of general tropes, I think that was really fun to see. Even Kobe is like, you want to be king of pirates? And he starts listing all of these things, which is usually what people do sometimes when you tell them your dream, right? And they kind of like point out all the reasons why that's dumb.
Yeah, no.
Why it's hard to do.
That's kind of Kobe's initial reactions. He seems to kind of like speak
from his own anxiety of fear
Yeah. And it almost comes from a it's like the way the world works wisdom. You know?
Yeah.
Like being king of the pirates is really hard. So because it's really hard, it's unlikely that you'll be king of the pirates.
Yeah.
And that's just like not the best way to live life.
Yeah.
Like I mean even if it's who knows, even if it's true, maybe maybe it's going to be really hard for Luffy to become king of the pirates.
But Luffy's answer to that is like, but I tried.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's what I'm going to do. So that is like I'm a little against the wisdom of the world that Kobe has to provide. I'm glad that Luffy's helping knock it out of him a bit.
Yeah. So those are all the big discussion points I want to talk about for this chapter.
Yeah, no, this is not the most dense chapter. It's really, it seems like the most important thing is the introduction to Kobe as a character,
And I think he's establishing a lot of stuff that we're talking about here, which is like the humor of One Piece. Not a lot of exposition, a lot of times for like, he gave a lot more time for like sight gags, a lot of little fun dialogue jokes and all that fun stuff. So I think he's introducing the other half of One Piece. It's like, it's this big, this is the epic call to arms, call to adventure first chapter. This is like the fun. Let's have some fun. Yeah. Well,
so with that, we can move on to. Are you ready for it?
Yeah. I like it when you announce it.
Oh yeah. This week's panel battle.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? Last week, I read your favorite panel first.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have you share my favorite panel first to the listeners today. And I almost want to say I took a pair, but it's this one here. Maybe in context with the one next to it.
Okay.
So that is my favorite panel today.
Gotcha. Okay, these two on the bottom. Should I read both?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is right before Alvida is trying to get Kobe to say that she's the fairest of them all. And he has not. In fact, he says the opposite. And she's like, you need to take it back. I'm going to swing at you. And the first panel that Jacob likes is a very dramatic action lines everywhere in this panel. Of a close-up on Alvida's face, being her mouth larger, like most of the page here. Her saying, you little, and she can't finish it because Kobe goes, actually internally, in his head. This is actually an internal monologue. He's not saying it out loud.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's really saying the iya, which is like on the left side of this
So
panel.
he's screaming that because he's afraid, and he is actually saying internally, internal monologue is, I said it and I won't take it back. No more cringing for me. No, from now on I'll fight for my dreams.
Now, this is interesting because this definitely goes to what I was mentioning earlier, which I was not reading those as completely internal. Which is interesting. No, it's good to know.
Yeah. So, but does it change? Is it still kind of?
No. It doesn't change my opinion of the panel
because that's the second panel, and that's Kobe's reaction to Alvida about to swing at him.
Yeah.
So, and he's freaking out, which is why he's probably in fear and he's thinking back to himself. But I think even in fear, I think it shows a lot to his character at that moment. He's like, I can't back down.
Yeah.
I've already said it. I got to chase for my dream. He doesn't even know at this point. He doesn't even know that Luffy's strong. Right? He went in. Yeah. It's like blind faith right now that I need to just live like Luffy. I like that panel.
No, and though just to share a little bit more about it, I think it's sort of a fascinating thing how wide characters can open their mouths, and their tongues, they start to look like circles, and then their mouths start to look like U's, and this has two of them right next to each other, and they're very intense, and I loved it. I was like, if you're gonna, my jaw can't do these things, and so it's so interesting. It almost Luffy. I mean, in this case, it's and Kobe almost starts to look like the eyes. I feel like are like separating from the lower half of his mouth. It's incredible.
It's great. So my favorite panel is actually on the same page.
But it's not that panel.
It's not those panels.
Hoping. I thought that we would put the bookmarks on the same page, and I was thinking maybe we'd have the same panel.
It's actually this one.
This one right here.
It's actually the one right before it.
So this is that one right there, right?
Yeah. That
okay.
one right there.
This is Luffy. He's in his speech bubble. He's got ha ha. Ha 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 ha. He's laughing. I happen to get the right number of ha's. There's more ha's beneath Luffy's face. So we got a speech bubbles of ha ha's above Luffy, speech bubbles below. He's laughing. Gigantic open mouth. Not quite as big as Luffy, who's a little more in an angry mode at this point. But, big, wide open grin from Luffy. He's got a straw hat on. You can see his scar. And this is immediately...
That's him reacting to, I think, what Kobe just said about... Because at this point, Kobe called Alvida, fat and ugly and
no you just the ugliest hag of all, and so Luffy is just laughing, and I think I took that laughter to mean that Luffy just thinks it's funny.
I have other interpretations.
Okay. Or that he's is he worried that Kobe's got it coming to him now that he's put himself in danger? What are you thinking?
So this is why I chose this panel, because for one, I think seeing Luffy smile, because again, the art of One Piece and how he drew Luffy, it's a face built to smile and have a good time. So seeing him laugh, I think innately still makes me it warms my heart, and it still makes me very happy to see Luffy laugh. I get in the mood to laugh and have fun and joke and stuff too. But I think what I love about it, though, I think that laughter is actually laughter because Kobe just earned Luffy's respect. Yeah, because I think at that moment he's laughing because he's like, oh, Kobe's a good guy, and he has my respect now because he stuck up for himself, and now he's laughing because remember, Kobe doesn't know how strong Luffy is. Luffy knows how strong Luffy is, and Luffy's about to knock this woman on her butt. But I think that's what's happening in that panel. I think that's why he's laughing, because I think he's having a good time because he loves to see people stand up for. He loves to see good people stand up for what they believe in. I think. Okay.
No, so it's not so much a directed laughter. It's more like a in the moment enjoyment, a little bit of joy spreading around. Yeah,
it's kind of like when I see, when you see your nephew, play
beat up the school bully.
Yeah, or you see your nephew or your kid do well in a sporting event, right? And maybe they still lose, but man, he threw that ball pretty good, and you laughed at it because you're like, wow, I didn't know he could do it. I think that's a little bit more of what Luffy's laughing. I was like, wow, I never thought this dumb weak boy could actually stand up for himself. And I know he's a good guy, but he's dumb and he's weak. But this is funny because he did, and I'm proud of him.
No, that's I think it's a very beautiful choice.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. No, and it's led right into mine. I think we'll have to we're gonna have to wait for a different week for us to have the same panel. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen.
It could.
It could happen.
It could happen.
Statistically unlikely. There's quite a few panels
in any given chapter.
But this bodes well. This might be a foreshadowing of the one day when both of our panel choices coincide.
Yeah, and this is a foreshadow too, because next week we're going to be talking about chapter 3.
So, yeah, you never would have guessed it.
Yeah, which I guess that's a little more on the nose. It's still foreshadowing if I just straight up say that we're going to talk about chapter 3 next week.
I think it is a Oda trope.
Oh, it's an Oda trope. There we go. We should kind of end with an onomatopoeia, a wind, wind onomatopoeia. You ready?